October 2010, a quiet test track, a full-size pickup idling under gray skies, no roar, no rumble, just a faint, high-pitched whistle, and then a surge of torque that hits like a hammer. This wasn't supposed to happen. Ford had just done something almost unthinkable. They took the heart of America's most sacred machine, the V8 truck engine, and replaced it with a twin-turbo V6. And for a moment, it looked like a revolution. But what almost nobody knows is that same engine, the one that promised the future, came dangerously close to destroying Ford's reputation from the inside out. Because behind the torque numbers, behind the fuel economy claims, behind the marketing, there was a problem. Actually, there were several, and what happened next changed everything. To understand how it all went wrong, you have to go back to the late 2000s. Gas prices were rising. Regulations were tightening, the EPA was closing in, and Ford had a choice: keep building big, thirsty V8s, or reinvent the truck engine entirely. They chose reinvention. But it wasn't an easy decision. Inside Ford headquarters, the debates were brutal. Some engineers believed turbocharging was the future, others thought it was career suicide. One executive reportedly said, "If this fails, we're done. The F-150 is everything. We can't afford to get this wrong." They were right to be scared. The F-150 wasn't just a truck, it was America's best-selling vehicle. Year after year, decade after decade, farmers depended on it. Construction crews trusted it, families drove it to church on Sunday, and every single one of those customers expected one thing under the hood: a V8. Messing with that formula, that was like changing the recipe for Coca-Cola or redesigning the American flag. People don't just buy trucks. They inherit them. They pass them down. They build loyalty that lasts generations. So when Ford announced a turbocharged V6 as the new flagship engine, the backlash was immediate. Real trucks have V8s. This is un-American. Ford just killed the F-150. The internet exploded. Forums lit up. Dealerships got angry calls. But Ford pushed forward anyway. The result was something called EcoBoost, a bold idea. Small displacement, big power, turbocharged efficiency. The promise was simple: give customers V8 performance with V6 fuel economy. At the center of it all was the 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6. On paper, it looked like a miracle. A 3.64-inch bore paired with a 3.45-inch stroke gave it a displacement of 213 cubic inches. Compact, efficient, but then they added two turbochargers, one for each bank, forcing air into the cylinders at up to 15 psi of boost. The compression ratio sat at 10.001, high for a turbo engine at the time, risky even. But with direct injection, they could control detonation. The fuel system was cutting edge. High-pressure injectors spraying directly into the combustion chamber. Precision timing measured in milliseconds. Computer control managing every molecule of air and fuel. The turbochargers themselves were engineered masterpieces. Twin-scroll design, water-cooled bearings, wastegates calibrated to open at precise exhaust pressures. The result? 365 horsepower, 420 lb-ft of torque. And here's the part that shocked everyone. That torque peaked at just 2,500 RPM. In a truck, that meant instant pulling power, no waiting, no revving, just step on the gas, and it moved. Traditional V8s needed to climb into their power band. You had to wait, let the engine breathe, build momentum. Not this. This thing hit like electricity, like a diesel, like nothing anyone had felt in a gas-powered truck before. Ford put it into the F-150, America's best-selling vehicle, and then they made a bold claim. This V6 can outperform a V8. Most people didn't believe it. Truck buyers were skeptical, cynical even. They'd heard promises before. They'd seen revolutionary engines that couldn't pull a trailer up a hill without overheating. But then the tests started. Independent reviewers got behind the wheel. They hooked up trailers. They loaded beds with gravel and lumber and tools. And the EcoBoost delivered. 0 to 60 in under 6 seconds. In a full-size crew cab truck. quarter-mile times that embarrassed sports sedans from just a decade earlier, towing capacity that matched and sometimes exceeded comparable V8s. One reviewer said it felt like driving a turbocharged sports car that happened to be shaped like a truck. At the 2011 Baja 1000, Ford entered an F-150 with a near-stock 3.5 EcoBoost. Same basic engine you could buy at a dealership. It ran 1,061 miles across brutal desert terrain. Dust, heat, rocks, full throttle for hours. And it finished. Not just finished, it proved something. This wasn't just a marketing gimmick. The engine could survive. Professional off-road racers were impressed. That said something. These were people who punished vehicles for a living. They knew what broke and what didn't. And the EcoBoost held up. And for a moment, it looked like Ford had done the impossible. Sales started climbing. Not just a little. By 2012, nearly 40% of F-150 buyers were choosing the EcoBoost over traditional engines. That was unheard of, revolutionary even. Dealerships that had been skeptical were now ordering more EcoBoost models than they could keep in stock. The truck world was changing, but there was a problem. Actually, several. The first cracks didn't show up on racetracks. They showed up in driveways, cold mornings, drivers turning the key, engines stumbling, then misfires, then hesitation under load. At first, it seemed random, hard to reproduce, easy to ignore. One driver in Wisconsin reported that his truck ran perfectly fine most of the time, until it didn't. He'd be cruising down the highway, everything normal, and then suddenly the engine would buck and hesitate like it hit a wall. Another owner in Texas said his truck felt like it was choking on something. Loss of power. Check engine light flashing, then it would clear up and run fine for weeks. Dealerships didn't know what to make of it. Diagnostic codes were inconsistent. Some showed misfires, others showed nothing at all. But the complaints kept coming, and then the real issue surfaced. Condensation. Inside the intercooler, the component that cools compressed air before it enters the engine, moisture was building up, especially in humid conditions, especially during long highway drives. And when drivers suddenly accelerated, that water got sucked into the engine. The result? A violent stumble, misfires, loss of power. Imagine merging onto a highway, and your truck suddenly chokes. That's exactly what was happening. And in some cases, it wasn't just annoying. It was dangerous. Merging into traffic, passing on two-lane roads, towing heavy trailers up steep grades. These were moments when drivers needed power, needed reliability, and the engine was failing them. Ford engineers dug into it. They found that under certain conditions, the intercooler design allowed condensation to pool. Not a lot, but enough. The physics were straightforward. Compressed air gets hot. When you cool it, moisture condenses. Usually that moisture evaporates or drains harmlessly. But in the first generation EcoBoost, the intercooler's internal design had low spots, places where water could collect. And when that water hit the combustion chamber, it disrupted everything. Water doesn't compress. It doesn't burn. It just sits there, interfering with the carefully calibrated air-fuel mixture. The fix? A redesigned intercooler, a deflector, updated calibration, simple, effective, but the damage had started. Online forums exploded with complaints. Owners felt betrayed. They'd taken a chance on this new technology and it was letting them down. And then things got worse. Timing chains. Now, on paper, the EcoBoost used a robust dual overhead cam setup with variable cam timing, smooth, efficient, powerful. But inside the engine, the timing chain system was under stress. See, turbocharged engines generate more heat, more pressure, more load on components. The timing chain has to keep the camshafts synchronized with the crankshaft. Perfect timing, always. Any deviation and the engine runs poorly, or not at all. Over time, some engines started developing timing chain stretch. Not catastrophic at first, just noise, a rattle on startup, Owners described it as a metallic rattling sound, especially on cold starts. It would last a few seconds, then disappear as oil pressure built up. But then, check engine lights, cam timing errors, and in worst cases, engine damage. When a timing chain stretches too much, cam timing shifts. The computer detects this, throws codes, tries to compensate. But if it stretches enough, the chain can skip a tooth or break entirely. And when that happens in an interference engine where pistons and valves occupy the same space at different times, the results are catastrophic. Bent valves, damaged pistons, complete engine failure. Mechanics started seeing it more often than they should. And the question became unavoidable. Was the engine built for the long haul? Ford responded with updated parts, stronger chains, revised tensioners, improved oiling strategies. But by then, something had shifted. Trust. The invisible contract between manufacturer and buyer. The belief that if you take care of the truck, it'll take care of you. That trust was cracking, and then came carbon buildup. This one was more subtle. Because the EcoBoost used direct injection, fuel was sprayed directly into the combustion chamber. Great for efficiency, great for power, but it meant one thing. The intake valves never got washed by fuel. In older port injection engines, fuel sprayed onto the intake valves before entering the cylinder. That fuel acted like a solvent, washing away deposits, not with direct injection. Over time, carbon deposits started building up on those valves, slowly, quietly. At 50,000 miles, maybe nothing. At 80,000, a little roughness. At 100,000, reduced performance. Rough idle, misfires. It wasn't unique to Ford. Many direct injection engines had the same issue. BMW, Audi, Volkswagen, they all dealt with it. But in a truck engine, in something people expected to last 200,000 miles, it hit differently. Truck buyers weren't used to this. They weren't used to needing walnut blasting services to clean their intake valves. That was a sports car problem, a European car problem, not a truck problem. And then, the real nightmare started. Under heavy load, towing, hauling, long climbs, some engines began experiencing extreme heat stress. Turbochargers spinning at over 170,000 RPM, exhaust temperatures climbing past 1,600 degrees Fahrenheit, oil breakdown, coking inside turbo bearings, and when that happened, boost dropped, power vanished, sometimes permanently. Drivers towing trailers through mountain passes reported sudden power loss. The engine would go into limp mode, temperatures spiking, warning lights everywhere. Mechanics opened up engines and found burnt oil deposits, sludge in places that should have been clean, turbocharger oil feed lines clogged with carbon, bearings scored and damaged, compressor wheels rubbing against housings. One technician reportedly said, "It looked like the engine had been cooking itself from the inside." That's not something you want to hear about your truck. The problem was heat management. Turbochargers create enormous heat. They spin faster than jet engines. The exhaust side glows red hot. And all that heat has to go somewhere. The oil cooling the turbo bearings takes a beating. If it breaks down, if it cokes up, the turbo fails. And when you're towing 10,000 pounds up a mountain in Arizona in July, that's the worst case scenario. And yet, despite all this, the engine kept selling. Because here's the twist most people don't realize. When the 3.5 EcoBoost worked, it was incredible. It could tow over 11,000 pounds. It could run the quarter mile in the low 14-second range. In a full-size truck, it could outperform many V8s while getting better fuel economy. Owners who didn't have problems, they loved it. Absolutely loved it. They talked about the power delivery, the smoothness, the way it made highway passing effortless. They talked about fuel economy numbers that seemed impossible for a truck that fast. And in later versions, Ford pushed it even further. The second generation 3.5 EcoBoost, introduced in 2017, brought major changes. Ford learned from every failure, every complaint, every broken timing chain and clogged intercooler. Dual fuel injection, both direct and port injection, to solve carbon buildup. a higher compression ratio of 10.5.1, improved turbochargers with better heat management, reinforced timing components, a completely redesigned block made from a more durable alloy. Output jumped to 375 horsepower and 470 lb-ft of torque. And in the Raptor, 450 horsepower, 510 lb-ft from a V6. That's the part that makes this story so complicated, because the engine that almost ruined Ford's reputation also helped redefine what a truck engine could be. It proved that displacement wasn't everything, that technology could replace cubic inches. It showed that efficiency and performance weren't opposites, but what happened next changed everything. Ford doubled down. They refined the design, fixed the weaknesses, improved reliability, and customers kept buying. By the mid-2010s, over half of all F-150 buyers were choosing EcoBoost engines. The V8 wasn't dead, but it wasn't untouchable anymore. The cultural shift was massive. A decade earlier, suggesting a V6 truck was a joke. Now, it was the smart choice. And yet, the scars remained. Early adopters remembered the misfires, the timing chain issues, the condensation problems, forums filled with debates. Is it reliable? Will it last? Should I just get the V8? Even today, those questions haven't completely gone away. Used truck buyers research VN numbers, trying to figure out which model year to avoid, which production dates had the bad timing chains, which updates matter. Because when you push engineering this far, this fast, there's always a price. So what's the real story? The 3.5 EcoBoost didn't fail, but it came close enough to remind everyone, engineers, drivers, and Ford itself, that innovation isn't free. Sometimes it costs reputation, sometimes it costs trust, and sometimes it almost costs everything. In the end, the 3.5 EcoBoost became one of the most important engines Ford ever built. Not because it was perfect, but because it proved that the future of trucks didn't have to sound like the past. It proved that American truck buyers, the most conservative, traditional vehicle buyers in the world, could be convinced to change if the product was good enough, if the performance was there, if the company stood behind it, and maybe that's the real takeaway. This wasn't just about a V6 replacing a V8, it was about a company taking a risk and almost losing control of the consequences, and somehow pulling it back. It was about engineering ambition meeting real-world physics, about marketing promises meeting customer expectations, about innovation moving faster than reliability testing could keep up. Today, the 3.5 EcoBoost is in its third generation, more refined, more reliable, more powerful than ever. But those early years, those first trucks rolling off the line with an engine that hadn't been fully proven, those were the years that almost changed everything, for better and almost for worse. If you enjoyed this story, let me know what you want to see next. Another engine, another rivalry, or another moment where everything almost fell apart. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, because the next story might be even crazier.